with the AI universe, we're trying to connect a lot more dots together much easier than it has ever been before. If I'm asking for a refrigerant oil for a Nissan Leaf, the model should understand that you're asking for a hybrid car, you have to give a non-conductive oil versus a conductive oil, right? So if a human can look at 3-4 things and say, yeah, actually they are the same, AI can easily do that, and it can do that in microseconds, right? In a large scale. You have a timing belt replacement. This is a common thing, right? And then while you're doing timing belt replacement at 100,000 miles, you probably might as well change the water pump, right? Even feeling that there is an AI behind it. And that's how the best experiences are. No one talks about it. They only talk about the experience you're having.
Hello and welcome to another edition of Indicators. I'm really pleased to be with Tilak Kasturi of Predii. Tilak, would you like to say hello and introduce yourself to our crowd?
Hi everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. Thanks, Mike.
Absolutely. And Tilak, tell us a little bit about yourself and how you landed at Predii.
I'm a technologist by background. I spent time in the industry on building enterprise-grade applications for different verticals. And part of my journey included working at startups, at venture capital firms. And that led me to explore new challenges, new problems. And automotive industry is one of the best industries to work and look at how an experience for a car owner can be improved. And so that just kind of one thing led to the other, and to founding Predii.
Oh, thanks for sharing that. And just to dig in a little bit more, you said a technologist and you said other industry verticals. Can you tell me a little bit more about those?
So I spent a long time ago working at it's not entirely a vertical, but I was one of the lead architects building the first internet browser for TVs. That's way back in Orlando, Florida, working for Time Warner Cable. Those days, it was a very popular thing, bringing in cool technologies to the household, to do video on demand and things. So I was one of the architects there, and also worked in NASA and the Space Shuttle launch control systems, and was primarily, part of a large initiative at Lockheed Martin, but working with telemetry data, and it's at a different scale, but it's the same telemetry data that you see in automotive vehicles. So anyway, connecting the dots, past experience, always you try to tap into it, and most recently before this startup, Predii, I worked in radiation oncology, building another software for cancer treatment. So I am I try to look at different challenges and problems, and that kind of helps me stay focused and energized. So automotive is an exciting challenge for us.
Thank you for that. That's so rich in terms of the different perspectives, the different contexts that you're looking at data, the different stakeholders that may be involved. So as a problem solver, engineer, scientist myself, I can appreciate the different lenses that you've gotten to look throughout your career. So thank you. And tell us a little bit about Predii. How long has it been around? What kind of work does Predii do?
So we are an 11-year-old company based in Palo Alto, and we have offices in Pune, India as well. And so Predii, in a simple few words, Predii provides automotive AI, automotive specific AI for parts and service industry. And, our automotive parts and service industry is extremely human centric industry. It's we work based on the experience of service advisors, service writers, technicians, doing problem analysis and then trying to come up with the best resolution. Part suppliers, warehouse distributors, and we have all across the board. It's a very human-centric industry, and we bring the AI layer into these workflows, and so that's what Predii does.
So when you're talking about, say, the warehousers, the parts suppliers, is that kind of tell us a little bit more about that? Because I can think about the service advisor. If I'm a technician and I'm diagnosing and repairing a vehicle, I can imagine going to some sort of resource to identify how and what to do. But could you tell us a little bit about the use case for the other audiences?
So in the parts side, from a I'll start with the part suppliers. Part suppliers are always looking for what is the experience of the car owner and which led to a part failure or part related issues that can allow them to be staying ahead of the customer complaints that would lead to a better design of the product, or also be able to estimate better demand for the product. And that usually happens, it's not a statistical analysis. We would need to, from a part suppliers, they would like to know if they're opening the box of that brake pad and it's actually going onto a year, make, model engine. And that typically happens at the shop. But that last mile knowledge can be brought back to the part suppliers in a much more elegant manner that allows them to know, the part failure rates or the demand for parts in a specific region. So traditionally, these are business intelligence driven products. Now, with the AI universe, we're trying to connect a lot more dots together much easier than it has ever been before. Whether a experience that a car owner had in the shop, being able to bring at a scale back to the part suppliers to understand what was the cause, what was the complaint, what was the cause, what was the correction that led to that particular part being replaced on the car. So there's so much, this industry is well connected all the way. And previously we were thinking in silos. Okay, the parts supplier will get demand from the distributors, and they would actually address it with data coming from the parts catalog. But with the help of AI, we're expanding that. Instead of being silos, you could go all the way up to the car owner and try to bring that type of insights back to different value points in the supply chain.
Appreciate that explanation. And just to kind of play a little bit of that back to make sure I'm understanding it correctly, perhaps traditionally you had business systems which resided within one company that took in data and is perhaps using historical data within a company to forecast demand and then to be used in operations. Whereas with the AI solutions, it's a wider spread of data sources so that you can perhaps forecast using algorithmic models, using artificial intelligence to identify the parts that are going to be needed perhaps more accurately. Am I getting that correctly?
More predictively. So for example, I have the experience of the mileage, let's say. I would know based on the mileage of the vehicles in operation in a region. I would also generally have an idea whether it's coming from IHS Market or other providers, the VIO population, but also the age of the population in a particular region. And so based on the all those additional data points, I could actually predict the demand much elegantly compared to using statistical models or based on the demand data that was presented to the supplier. You're kind of stretching it much further throughout the ecosystem, and the more information you have, it makes you lot more accurate and be able to manage your business decisions. Yeah.
Very helpful. So I'll come back to the data sources in a little bit, but kind of backing out a little bit. What kind of things is Predii working on? You've touched on some of those things already, but tell us a little bit about some of the solutions that you're providing across the automotive space.
So we traditionally have been the AI layer for data around repairs. That AI layer allows you to extract insights from the data coming from different sources, whether it's a shop or a parts catalog, transactions, or all of the above, right? And these, whenever I touch data, I have to kind of remind the audience that there's extreme care taken in making sure the PII data or the privacy is protected. There are information about protecting making sure the compliance items are taken into account. The copyrighted nature of the content is taken into account. This is a very well thought out process that needs to be applied. And this is a guidance to anyone trying to use AI or some of your audience building data science products. That is the core. It is really important. I'll touch upon this multiple times during this discussion. But the things that, going back to your question, the things that we're working on is AI is probably the fastest changing technology, and there are new models coming in, new technologies coming in. It's a fast-paced technology space, and we've been doing this for 10 plus years. And more recently, we are bringing in generative AI products into the market to enhance the experience of the workforce that is in the automotive industry. So what I mean by that is a service advisor is now empowered with a service advisor assist, and that is something that we bring to the market, enabling the service advisor to say, yeah, I understand the customer complaint, and the AI is assisting the service advisor to connect the dots on these complex problems, and then say, yeah, it's a vehicle is running rough, and then there will be automatic suggestions provided by the AI, and then be able to provide a very accurate estimate and in a rapid manner. And these are newer vehicles, newer things, and based on these assist applications, you can also help a parts counter person. If I'm asking for a plenum gasket, we understand, but it's a plenum gasket is a air intake manifold gasket. The parts catalogs are never built for a street language or a cryptic way of saying an O2 sensor or A2F sensor. These are the models that we built understands that automotive language. And there's one more reason why you don't want to use anything that's generic, right? So if I'm asking for a refrigerant oil for a Nissan Leaf, the model should understand that you're asking for a hybrid car. You have to give a non-conductive oil versus a conductive oil, right? So there are different viscosities, and so these are technical things that happens in each silos, right? A part supplier will understand, a technician will understand, whereas a service advisor will not be able to just put it onto the repair order right away. And the models, being able to understand the nuances is going to be very important. So we're bringing in generative AI products, which is the fastest growing segment in the industry, because it brings in the state-of-the-art models to, at the end of the day, the industry is a experience-based, human-centric industry. The more experience you have, the better you can take care of your car owner. And that experience is kind of embedded in each one of our customers' companies, right? So this is not like somebody just gives you a resolution guide and you can just say, I can fix the car, because I know this resolution guide, and each car is different, each experience is different. So this is the best time to bring in AI layers into these products to make them um, a more trustworthy, b more efficient at understanding all of these complex vehicles, and bring that experience back to a less experienced person who it's not about experience or the age of the person working at it, because they might not have seen all these scenarios um, of these different variations of the parts and vehicles and issues. So it tries to bring in all of that into a box, right?
It's really helpful. And you touched on something very interesting in terms of sort of that residence expertise, that industry expertise, where a service technician, a counter person will be able to say, "Oh, it's this make of car. I know that, as you said with a Nissan, it's this type. There are certain implications and ramifications from which to diagnose and get the right part. Think about the context in which to solve that person's problem." And can you tell us a little bit about the data sources that you're gleaning in order to give those really specific solutions that are accurate, and that I guess a seasoned veteran, very experienced service technician will kind of know off the top of his or her head? Because you don't necessarily want somebody going into an AI tool and having to type in a lot more questions than you or I could just kind of on the spot figure out, right?
Yes, yes. So I kind of break the industry into users of insights and providers of insights. So users of insights are, okay, the insights are available and I will tap into it, and I will, these are companies that are purpose built to provide that repair insights. And there's lots of companies. Our target is to help these providers of these insights, right? So there's several industry leaders that provide this type of assistance to technicians or service advisors or anything that happens in the service lane. So the touching on data is the data sets can originate from the cars, right? Which is onboard diagnostic data in different shapes and forms. And that typically results in, what are the diagnostic patterns? When you have a check engine light, is it a P0171, 174? There is a pattern of events happen. And based on those patterns, you can make some decisions. So that is one source of data. And the second source of data is what happens within the shop, right? There are several software systems within the shop, and they provide different outputs from that systems. And it could be a shop management system, or it could be other transactional systems that the shops use, or dealerships, in the case of OEM dealerships. And so every touch point starts to become a data, and they're in different shapes and forms, and you need AI there's no one format. It's not like, oh, Microsoft business intelligence format is this, so you take it. There are hundreds and hundreds of formats, and so AI, again, with the help of natural language processing, it doesn't really necessarily depend on, oh, you have to give me the format, you have to say the part, a disc brake pad has to be spelled out this way. But there are hundreds of suppliers, and they could be calling it in any number of ways. Some use PCDB, some might not use the PCDB format, and so you have to be able to adjust to all those, as long as AI is really good at interpreting the intent of what you're saying. So if a human can look at 3-4 things and say, yeah, actually they are the same, AI can easily do that, and it can do that in microseconds, right? In at a large scale.
Sure.
And so the pattern recognition is at the core of what AI can do very efficiently. Yeah.
And you mentioned all the disparate data sources. I'm also thinking about the format, as you highlighted, that you have so many unstructured data that are coming in. And I think about if I'm at the shop and I describe my problem, they may write it down, they may take it in, and just being able to synthesize all that data. And I can't help but to think of this commercial from a few years ago where there are people going into the shop and saying, my car is making the
Yeah.
type of stuff, right?
Okay, outside.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
that's my
so yeah, thank
favorite
you.
show.
Yeah, so I'm glad you know which commercial I'm talking about. So yeah, fascinating. And you highlighted earlier some of the predictive aspects that call on data from, say, industry providers like IHS Markit, S&P Global. So I think that's another aspect of a customized solution that, say, Predii would provide versus something that's more, shall we say, a general AI solution, right?
The predicting is on um, uh, two dimensions. Dimension one is the age of the vehicle, and it could be measured in the miles on the mileage. And the other prediction dimension is based on early indicators of of problems, right? So if you have a diagnostic code pattern that you do a part of the diagnostics, you could actually predict what type of parts you need, not only now but also before it happens. The simple example is obviously the engine misfire. It's a P0300 series, and engine misfire happens, and you need to replace O2 sensor, or in some cases you need to replace more parts. And so as AI technologies are implemented, you could make decisions based on some of these early indicators, and in the independent repair shops, they could suggest some other related repairs. And the simple example is, you have a timing belt replacement. This is common thing, right? And then while you're doing timing belt replacement at 100,000 miles, you probably might as well change the water pump, right? So as the labor cost for doing certain things are far exceed, and the need for going back there and replacing a water pump. So there are certain things that the industry, that's a simple example, that's a known industry thing, but there are more things like that. Those related repairs starts to become more important for the shop owner experience, the car owners as well as the shop owners.
Gotcha. And when we were talking before we recorded this session, you were talking a little bit about the innovation cycle of AI solutions and how they're implemented into workflow. I think you highlighted how e-commerce as a new channel was a little bit different from a implementation standpoint. Can you highlight some of the things you were referring to there, Tilak?
So the way the industry, we measure innovation cycles in waves, right? So the last innovation cycle was the biggest one was the internet, and internet innovation cycles lasted 25 years of that impact, where early on, when it was introduced in the Congress with Al Gore, with the Information Superhighway Act and other things, that opened up the internet, and then that led to the e-commerce wave. We never predicted that suddenly all the commerce would shift to, or significant commerce would shift to e-commerce, or it becomes an important channel. But it took 25 years. Now with the AI, if you think about it, it's 2023 March, around that time frame is when ChatGPT is the first version came in, and it's even a alpha version or a beta version, right? So, but the 18 months that we saw with the amount of impact or the awareness, I should say, awareness of AI in the talking about, whether it's in Washington, D.C. or across the world, it's amazing. So what happened is the innovation cycle, it won't take 25 years for adoption across the board at a scale. We're seeing close to in 5 years. We would it's going to have a shortest window in ever known in the history of any innovation cycle, that people are racing to put in an AI layer into their applications. So, and we have to caution that, especially in an expert industry like automotive, you have to do that with extreme caution. That it's very easy or tempting to throw in a chat GPT into your application, but it's not appropriate for a medical field or an automotive field. So the innovation cycles are rapidly changing, and then you would see, in the last 12 months to alone, Predii ourselves, we have experienced that we deployed generative AI applications in production for some of the mission critical applications, and I was really amazed with which the industry is following, and so in doing it in a secure, trustworthy manner and transparent manner will be the requirement. It's in the past, AI, we've been doing AI for 10 years, 10 plus years. So we could say that with a lot more confidence that, use it cautiously, use it carefully. It will produce tremendous results,
I appreciate that perspective. And you mentioned this shortening window for implementation in the innovation cycle. What are some of the drivers? What has made that possible?
Oh, that's my favorite topic. One of the reasons is the availability of, I would say, the hardware, or affordability of the hardware, and I would also attribute that to the open source community. And the cost of a provider like us, we depend heavily on open source. And to build a OpenAI scale model, it's cost billions of dollars. Just on one day to run those computers on a daily basis, it's over $1 million+. No enterprise, no company, no single company in the Fortune 1000 companies will be throwing in and saying, oh yeah, take $1 million a day and have my data centers run it. No, that's not how the enterprise universe works, right? So the cost model, going back to the open source technologies available, it also makes us the cloud in a secure manner, whether it's Microsoft Azure or Google Cloud or we
AWS.
AWS, the three big providers, allow you to do it in a secure, on-demand manner. So I don't need to have the compute to run an application all the time. I use it when I want, and I bring it down. So it, a few $100s to a few $1,000s a day, I could have a equally capable application doing generative AI. That's the cost factor, and the allows the innovation cycles to be much more broad and applications, but also shrinks the time taken to bring it to the industry. So that's number one. The second part is, listen, we've been doing AI, in production for 10 plus years, but AI as a technology or on the research topic, it's been there for decades. But the awareness amongst the industry leaders or the boards of these companies, we don't have to educate anyone that's saying, yeah, you need to do AI as part of your roadmap. And that awareness allowed, if it happens at the board level, and I think it makes it every part of the organization easier to implement. So there are few things that happen. Awareness that it is gonna, if applied, it can produce tremendous results, and makes your offering more competitive. That awareness, along with the affordability of being able to have an AI layer into your products, it's a really amazing time. Actually, this is the best time. We're having a lot of fun.
Yeah, you mentioned the decades long experience. And I remember being in college in the early 90s and hearing about AI developments then. I think it was fuzzy logic was a big thing in the
Yes.
early 90s. And I sort of remember even a rice cooker with fuzzy logic capabilities. So I guess it had something to do with it's not a yes, it's not necessarily a no, but it's somewhere in between. And it'll be able to use fuzzy logic to cook your rice perfectly. Does that sound at all familiar?
Oh yeah, yeah. Uh, the AI languages early on, Ada, and it's all in research community and implementation. Used to have specialized AI languages, and you study all of that, and it's amazing, Mike. Even 2017, it's not. It appears very recently. It's like 2017, 18 timeframe. The hardware availability of the GPUs and all that, it wasn't even close to what we have today, right?
Wow.
And it's so shrinking of the cycles, right? It's just moving so fast, and the results proving it, right? So no one is doing it for one of the things that we hear a lot from our customers. I don't want any R&D. This is not a magical experiment. No one wants, especially in an industry like automotive, you want to see results. This is, no one is going to take a gamble at, oh, the car owner might get fixed or might not, or
Sure.
they'll get experience or might not get experience. No one will deploy an experiment. And so it has to be at a accuracy levels. It has to have a reliability level at which the industry leaders will say, yeah, I'm going to put this in my application suite. If I don't do it, I'm not being competitive, right? So, and the quality aspects and the quality controls is in the automotive industry and healthcare. I can relate to both industries as I worked in both.
You mentioned radiation oncology.
Yeah,
That's
it's highest.
big consequences and ramifications there.
So safety concerns are extremely critical in these industries, and so you have to have a lot of confidence in what you're putting forward.
I appreciate that. And thinking about, so we've talked a little bit about the past and the current. How about the next 3 to 5 years, 5 to 10 years? If you're looking in your crystal ball, what kind of things are you seeing a little bit further down the road, either in AI or the types of products that you and your team are going to be providing?
I would say the AI today is more about providing, decisions based on the data you provide. It's basically it's not gonna magically make a expert level decision for you. You have to have a historical experience that based on which it will try to give you some a reliable answer. Now that will continue to evolve, and we see more and more personalized experiences on the horizon. So I would say personalized experiences, you have to know more about why I'm coming, my car, my life, my experience, and be able to connect the dots on that. It is still possible to have that today, just the way we're, marching forward with personalized medicine. And in the healthcare, a personalized experience of taking care of the car owner will become an norm rather than an exception. And the industry is gonna, in few years, as I said, the innovation cycle is shrinking, and there will be a next generation of AI, which is already in the progress. We call it the human-centric AI, or we call it the world models, and that's a AI that is coming up in the next 5 years. Beyond the generative AI, there's already a next version of AI that's already being worked right now, and we see more and more regulations, where some are good, some are not so great, but especially in a industry that has high safety concerns, and there you would see more AI regulations. There are some that already started, and if I'm talking to an AI, an application that is using AI, there has to be a trust from the user that, hey, what gives some transparency, and to understand how you are making those decisions. We call it reasoning, and that gives you the user more trust. So there will be more adoption of the reasoning based models. And so I touched on these more on the technology side, but on an experience level, you will, just the way we are seeing the whether it's Google Maps or Apple Maps, we automatically put that on wherever we go. It becomes such a easy application. You shouldn't even feeling that there is an AI behind it, and that's how the best experiences are. No one talks about it. It only talk about the experience you're having, right?
Right.
And you'll see more elegant experiences in all the interactions.
Yeah, that's fascinating and really exciting to see what the future holds. And just a couple of last questions here as we wrap up. One is, any challenges, any kind of mountains that you and your team have had to overcome that perhaps you didn't see coming before? Throughout the 10, 11 years Predii has been operating, like, what comes to mind in terms of significant hurdles?
Well, the biggest hurdle is always data and data privacy, or the availability of the data, and so this is an industry where every company has a proprietary data set and their licenses to their data set. So it takes time. It's not something. If it is easy, everybody will be turning on, the layers. So invest your time in, collecting data, or do it in the right manner, right? While taking into data concerns and protecting the consumer at all times. So that's so the data side wasn't a surprise, but it will take time. So that is really one area that we worked with one customer at a time. But the pure AI companies providing automotive AI, they do not exist before Predii. So I confidently say that, right? So but it takes time, and automotive AI is it takes time to build it, and there's this temptation that I'll turn on a off the shelf model, and I'll be able to build applications, but I that's one area where it took us a long time to get 3 patents. And in a normal industry, it's getting a patent is fairly straightforward. But in an automotive AI, or in the AI industry, it takes time. And so the amount of time it took for the patents also surprised us, and but it's well worth it. All our offering is kind of backed by the patents, and I'm of a person I would like to experience as an entrepreneur, um, and it's experience the industry. So even if it takes time to experience, we've it's very fruitful journey for us, and so
Really helpful. And two of the things I heard you talk, I gleaned from that response are one, privacy. So if you're getting data from somebody who's taking their car in, making sure my name and PII is not associated with it. And also, if I heard you correctly, copyrighted information, content that you're bringing in from elsewhere as a data point in that model has to be used correctly and appropriately. Am I hearing that correctly, Tilak?
yeah, and they're not meant. So copyrighted content, the legal teams will always tell you cannot just put it into an AI model. It's so tempting, but you should not and you cannot. And that's the ownership of whoever provided that content. And there are special techniques to leverage that content so that it can be made available, but you cannot memorize that content. That's what I mean by use it. And then so you're not able, it's we have to respect those laws, and so yes, it's very critical. And again, it's out of the box for a technologist. It looks like everything is easy to use, but taking care of these compliance aspects and copyrighted aspects is where some of the critical methods of how you deploy it while protecting the interest of all parties becomes important.
Really helpful. And I guess two last questions. One will be topical, one will be just more fun getting to know you. But is there anything else you'd like to highlight to our audience regarding AI and how it is impacting the automotive space?
Automotive industry is going to benefit a lot with the AI adoption. That's for sure. And all the data scientists out there implementing these solutions, I urge you to kind of have the automotive intuitiveness first, then bring the technology. And so it looks like everything looks like a solvable problem with the technologist mindset, because I played both roles.
Sure.
And every model appears appropriate, every variable looks appropriate, but bring that take time in bringing that automotive intuitiveness into it. These industries with AI or without AI are very human centric, and the AI will never replace a human, and it will only make it him or her very efficient. And so the one guidance there is, yes, automotive intuitiveness is so critical, and it's actually shifting more. It's used to be, oh yeah, the technology is cool, and then I'll bring in some automotive infusion. But more and more, as the technology starts to become more and more accessible, you would say, yeah, it's more 75% automotive intuitiveness, 25% application. So whoever does it in the right manner, and so the need for automotive knowledge will continue to increase, not decrease. Yeah, that's what my guidance is. If it is a nice way to bring in more of the automotive AI experience into automotive industry to transform it. That's kind of my passion, not only for Predii, but beyond Predii, right? So,
Yeah. Well, Tilak, thank you so much for taking the time to share all these insights with us in your company's journey. And we'll close with this kind of a fun question. Do you eat ice cream?
I love ice cream.
So give me some of your favorite flavors, whether it's your go-to or I have a special celebration I want to have and I'm going to get something even, more over the top.
Oh, I like the one with caramel and nuts if there is flavor available, but pistachio and caramel flavor is my
In a bowl or on a cone?
cone is
Waffle cone, regular cone, sugar cone with the chocolate on the cone.
waffle cone.
All right. Well, I hope to share a waffle cone of caramel, ice cream, and nuts with you next time I see you. To all of our listeners, thank you so much for joining us. We hope you found this informative, interesting, and enjoyable. Please like, subscribe, and tell your friends about it. And until the next time, have a great day, everybody.
Thank you, Mike.